How's it going, everybody? By popular request, here is the physical lab. So what you have in front of you is everything in my physical environment that is operational that you guys would need to know about. So we're gonna go from the bottom up, and I'll break down. I'll take you around the backside. So I do have my flashlight on so that I can get a good picture of this. So this bottom box here is my IBM server. So as you can see, I just have one drive in there, and this is the 3650 M2, as you can see right there. That is a 3650 M2, and then above that is a 3850 M2. So that's how that goes in there. Now, the way that I have this guy set up is one drive set up. It's a 73 gig, 15,000 RPM SAS drive that is connected in, and the ESXi hypervisor is installed on this particular drive, and so yeah, that's where that sits. And then above it is the 3850. Currently, I have the USB stick in here that's actually running. It got the hypervisor installed on it. This is my light path diagnostics. I'm gonna go ahead and slide that back in there like so. So yeah, that's where that sits. This is the hard drive bay, as you can see, and the hard drive goes in like this, and this is kind of like a tape deck on an old car. And then we have some other stuff going on in the background for, like, there's memory back here. I don't know if I can pop that open or not. I think it's one of those. Anyway, if I was to pop this open, all these bays right here, there's a bay here, there's a bay here, a bay here, and a bay here. That's where all the RAM sits. So I've got 16, 32, 48, 64 gigs of RAM. There's whatever you take, was it 32 2 gigabyte sticks to equal 64 gigs of RAM. And so that's how that goes. And above that, we have my Cisco router. It's a 3725 running 12415T, back from the version 4 blueprint of the CCI lab. That's what I bought originally to do all of my my stuff with. And then we take it a step further above. We have a Cisco 3550. This is a PoE switch, and this connection right here, and I believe this connection here. No, this is my computer. Make sure that's plugged in all the way. This is my other computer. So this guy right here would be my, or is it this one? Yeah, this one right here goes to my my phone upstairs. So that's how that goes. It's a PoE switch, 10100 ports. So that's pretty much where that's at. And then above that we have my old Dell Desktop. This Dell Desktop is running Windows 7 Pro. As you can see, it doesn't get a whole lot of use down here. Well, it's a workhorse down here. So it does everything I need it to do there. My Time Warner cable modem sitting right there. And then if we come around the side here, I've got the main drive here. This is a 500 gig regular SATA 2 drive, and I have two 3 terabyte drives sitting here. I don't know which one is which off the top of my head, but this guy one of these two is, I'm pretty sure the one I'm pointing to, and I don't want to touch it because I don't want it to static electricity zap. But this guy, one of these two is the iSCSI drive. The other one is for basically my file server. And I have room for one more. Oh no, I don't. Yeah, I do, because I'm only using 3 drives. I have an extra SATA drive in there. If I needed to use it, I could. So I could add a 4th disk if I wanted to. Cause actually, yeah, I could, cause that orange drive right there, the 3rd. Well, you guys can't see it from that angle. That orange cable that's right there, yellowish, the one above the 2 red ones, that one actually, if you follow it up, it would have plugged into the CD drive, but I disconnected it. So I could add another drive, and I have power in there, so if I wanted to add another drive, I could. It's got 4 gigs of RAM, you know, a regular Windows desktop that I converted over to a file server. Basically, really nothing to convert. It just was a matter of, you know, changing its purpose. So when I bought my new computer, this is what that became. And then we come to the back side here. This is actually my very first server right here. This is a Dell C1100, and it had 24 gigs of RAM on it. I basically took RAM out of this guy and put it into the bottom 3650, this guy here, and that's how I was able to get it to 64, because it originally came with 48 gigs. So that's how I was able to get that to work. Now I know there's a mess of cables back here, and it's a lab environment, so I'm not really too concerned about cleanliness or keeping it neat and orderly. But basically, this is how this all works out. So we go up to the top here. You've got this particular port here. This one right here is for management. So this is how I remote desktop into the system, and that's all I do. I have an RDP setup enabled on it because it's Windows 7 Pro 64-bit. And I have it set up. I actually just re-IP addressed my network today, as a matter of fact. I gave it a whole new subnet. I was tired of the 192.168 network, so I went over to a 10.255. One less digit to type in, but it's to 10 network, so it's easy to work with for me. So that's what I'm doing there. So this is for my management, and it connects to this switch right here. This guy right here is my my PCIe card that I keep telling you guys about. That is for my iSCSI setup. So I take that and I'm able to connect it to the iSCSI. So if we follow that cable down here, it actually comes up here to this Netgear switch. This Netgear switch is a gigabit connection, and it provides the iSCSI SAN, if you will. So this is my SAN switch, and you know, not bad for 50 bucks. So that's what I'm using for my SAN switch. And then as you come down here a little bit, the way that I have my setup going here is the 3850 is powered on, it's ready to go, and it's operational. Well, actually it's not technically operational yet because of the fact that there's no hard drives plugged into it, so I don't have a OS configured into it yet. But I do have I do have management set up for the RSA, the remote supervisor, whatever RSA stands for. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then I have my management for like DHCP and things like that to actually connect into the box, and then I have my iSCSI traffic, well, what will be my iSCSI traffic. Same thing with this guy down here. I have this is the IMM over here for my IBM management module, and then down over here, this is the actual my login or my connection to actually connect to the box to manage it through vSphere. So that's where that comes into play. This one up here is connected to that iSCSI switch up the top. So this is my iSCSI port. So that's how that comes in. Each one has dual power supplies. I connected both in so that the issues would go away. That's pretty much it, really. And you guys probably noticed this. I have an iOmega. I think that's iOmega. iOmega. Well, it doesn't make a difference. That's a 2 terabyte external hard drive that I bought, a few years ago. It's just for backups, and I'm still in the process of moving data off of this onto the D drive on this guy. So D drive is my file server. E drive is my iSCSI setup, and what I'm doing with this is I'm going to be moving a bunch of files off of here onto here. It does take a few hours because there's still probably about a terabyte worth of space on this that needs to get moved over to here. So eventually I will be adding another drive to this guy and maxing it out, and I'm actually going to be looking at bumping up the RAM from, I think I'm going to try to max it out at 16 gigs because this also runs StarWind software. So StarWind software allows me to virtualize one of these hard drives, with the E drive, to serve that capacity up as an iSCSI target, so that these servers down here can receive iSCSI storage. So as I mentioned several times in previous videos, my storage here isn't stored locally. The only thing that's on this drive right here is the hypervisor install. So whatever that comes out to be, storage capacity wise. Everything else is stored up here on this box right here, and that, so when I have to redo it or it gets power cycled, or it doesn't happen very often, but every now and again, because I live up north, up in Wisconsin. So if you're not familiar with Wisconsin, if you were to look like the Great Lakes region of the US, I'm on the west side of that. Fine Lake, Michigan. Look to the left of that, or to the west of that. That's Wisconsin. That's where I'm at. So we do get some pretty nasty snowstorms here during the winter time. So sometimes we do lose power because it's just the weather just gets ridiculous. So we have that. That's pretty much my setup. This IBM server up here, the Dell doesn't really get used. I had a lot of issues with it overheating. As a matter of fact, every time I boot it up, I get this light here. It starts flashing at me. I called Dell. This thing is so old and not supported anymore. They won't even talk to me on the phone. So, but that's what's going on. Pretty much it, really. Not really expansive. It's actually slimmed it down a lot because I can run everything I need to here. So there's a question that I got too. It was regarding how I'm able to run a VM inside a VMware workstation, or how I'm able to run VMware workstation inside of a virtual machine. And the simple answer to that is, as long as you have vCenter Server enabled anywhere, you go into vCenter Server, you open up the CPU configuration of that particular virtual machine, and you click on the button that says Expose Guest OS to Hardware Assisted Virtualization. Click on that button, and then you'll be able to run what they call long binary mode, and you'll be able to allow that translation to happen. So pretty cool stuff when you get into it. So I'm actually waiting for these drives to come in, and as soon as they come in, I'm actually going to shoot videos of how, well, not literally, well, what I'm planning on doing is the install. So like doing the video on the actual install, and then going through and setting up going from, if you were building out a lab, this is exactly how I would walk you through. And I would, like if you were brand new and you didn't know anything about this stuff and you were interested in learning about it, I'm planning on doing an entire video series on how to get that working. And then since I am studying for my VCP, I plan on taking that at the end of January of 2016. So I'm definitely going to be looking forward to getting that done. And at the same point in time, this is a great launching point, because then I'll be able to do most of that stuff on this. So this will be my dedicated VMware server for doing all my VMware labs, and then the bottom server is going to be for all my Cisco stuff. So I don't need all 64 gigs of RAM to run those systems. So what I plan on doing is I plan on turning off a lot of the stuff that's going on in the one VM that I use as like a jump box, if you will, and I plan on moving all that stuff over to this server here, the 3850, and having it be my workhorse and do all my VMware stuff, so that I'm not trying to do, because a lot of times I have to turn off the routers and Viral and some other stuff for data center and service provider that I'm studying for, and security, and so that I can do the VMware stuff. So I bought a second server. So the other question I get a lot is, how much does all of this cost you? And it really depends. This server right here was $500. That's US. So it really depends on where you buy it from and who the seller is and stuff like that. The 3650 at the bottom was about the same, was about 500. Pretty good deal, if you ask me. What I really needed at the time when I bought it was RAM, so I could run a bunch of CSR 1000Vs from Cisco. And then the 3850, which is at the center of your screen, that one again is going to be my VMware server. The bottom one is going to be my Cisco server to run all the Cisco stuff, so Viral and things like that. But one of the things you have to be careful of when you're dealing with Viral, and if you don't, I'm going to put a link in the description here so that you guys will know what Viral is and stuff like that. But Viral is basically like a Cisco bred version of GNS3. So it's gives you the capability of playing with all the different versions of iOS and the different code, and take a look at it and see what you think, and be able to play with it. So it gives you a lot of capabilities in that regard. But so yeah, that's pretty much what's up with the home lab. It's stripped down. I used to have a lot more routers going in here and set up, and actually this rack used to be probably up to the ceiling in height. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on, but there is. But that's the thing when you're dealing with a home lab is, you know, you've got to have, you know, you've got to have the room for one. The other thing that people ask me a lot about is the power. It does consume a lot of power because this thing never shuts off. It's constantly running, and the unfortunate part about it is when you're dealing with that, you're going to be dealing with power. So on average, my utility bill runs between $250 and $300 a month. So I choose that. You know, to me, I'd rather spend a little bit more money up front on my utility bill every month for the power than have to waste my money on things like rack rentals and things like that. So to me, it's an even trade. You know, the money I would be spending on rack rentals is money I could be spending on the power, because me, I'm a very, very, very selfish person. When it comes to when I want to lab, I want to do it when I want to do it. You know, I'm a very busy person, so I really don't have the ability to, you know, wait around for, you know, a rack rental to open up, you know, or maybe, you know, you're near the end of your rack rental, but you need 4 more hours, so you book 4 more hours, and there goes my night. So I didn't want to have to deal with rack rentals, so I said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to spend the money on equipment, have it at home, you know, and I understand not everybody can do that, but I had the option and the opportunity and the capability to do it, so why not? Now, one thing that I wouldn't recommend you do, the way that I have this working is to plug the black cable that I'm pointing at right there. If you look up here, or I'm sorry, the green one, connects to this guy, and I have 3 surge protectors daisy chained together. So if I accidentally knock this guy right here, this shuts down the whole rack. So not exactly the greatest idea, but you know what? It gets the job done, and that's what matters. So that's what's going on, guys. I hope this was informative for you, and if you guys want to see more, let me know. But that's pretty much, you've seen the entire rack. There's not much more to show you than that. You go from there. So catch you guys next time.